All right, let's jump straight into this explainer. Today, we're taking a step back to process some really sudden, heartbreaking news, and more importantly, to look deeply at the enduring legacy of a truly legendary French musician, Kavinsky. If you're a fan of electronic music, or honestly even modern cinema, this is a story that has likely touched your life in ways you might not even fully realize. So let's get started.
Section 1. The night music fell silent.
When this headline dropped, French DJ Kavinsky found dead at his Paris home, man, it was just completely devastating. Literally within seconds of this hitting the press, shockwaves just ripped across social media. Fans were absolutely stunned. Messages of pure disbelief flooded timelines all around the world. It was truly one of those rare moments where the entire music community collectively hit pause.
And in that immediate aftermath, you saw millions of fans worldwide instinctively doing the exact same thing. They put his defining track, Nightcall, on repeat. They weren't just mourning a celebrity, right? They were realizing they'd lost the literal architect of a generation's soundtrack. Hitting play on that track was just a deeply instinctive way for all of us to process losing the guy who defined a whole era.
Moving on to Section 2, the artist behind the mask.
Because, long before the iconic stage name and way before the global fame, there was Vincent Bollorge. He was this incredibly driven French musician, fueled by a super specific passion. We're talking a deep, almost obsessive love for cinema, fast cars, and that unmistakable 1980s neon glow. Vincent was quietly pulling from this very specific retro aesthetic to build something entirely new.
And instead of just, chasing whatever was trending on mainstream radio, he completely flipped the script. He forged this identity that was brilliantly dark, super mysterious, and intensely cinematic. This specific blend of 80s nostalgia resonated so powerfully because it offered a gritty, moody counterculture alternative to standard pop. His tracks didn't even feel like regular songs. They felt like scenes from this incredible neon-drenched movie that didn't actually exist. And that mystery, that became the absolute foundation of his legend.
Which brings us to Section 3. One song changed everything.
So picture it, the year is 2011. Director Nicholas Winding Refn makes this incredibly bold choice for the opening sequence of his film, Drive. He uses Kavinsky's track, Nightcall, and wow, it was absolute perfection. It was just a single sync in a movie, but the way that visual paired with Kavinsky's sound, it instantly grabbed the attention of audiences everywhere. It was literally lightning in a bottle.
If we actually break down the DNA of Nightcall, what do we find? It's these haunting synths layered perfectly over this completely hypnotic beat, creating an absolutely unforgettable atmosphere. And it was exactly this masterful combination that didn't just make the song a massive hit, it essentially wrote the blueprint for the entire retro electronic genre we now know as synthwave.
And that undeniable atmosphere had millions of new fans immediately asking one massive question. Who is Kavinsky? People heard that track in the theater and they just had to know. By answering that question through his art, he captivated a whole new generation of retro electronic music lovers.
Let's look at Section 4, a lasting musical legacy.
Once he established himself on the global stage, his unique sound became an absolute cornerstone across so many creative industries. We're talking musicians, sure, but also filmmakers and even game developers. His whole aesthetic became deeply woven into global pop culture. He literally shaped how countless creators around the world approach their own art.
It's so fascinating because his music achieved this incredibly rare kind of timelessness. Think about it. Even people who've never heard his name instantly recognize those unmistakable opening notes of Nightcall. It became a permanent fixture on global playlists, it's huge at massive festivals, it's just a sound that absolutely refuses to age.
Which, unfortunately, brings us to Section 5, the breaking news.
So, as we're reporting the facts we have right now, multiple media outlets confirmed that Kavinsky has died at the age of 50 after being found at his home in Paris. Authorities haven't released the full details yet as the investigation is still ongoing, but it is just such an unexpected, truly tragic end to an unbelievable journey.
And while we're all kind of waiting for more information, the heartfelt tributes are just pouring in from all corners of the globe. Seeing this massive wave of messages really hits home. It just underscores the profound, deeply personal impact he had on his listeners everywhere. Finally, Section 6, an unfading echo.
There's a huge difference between just creating songs and crafting actual unforgettable memories. Kavinsky did the latter.
He didn't just produce tracks. He took something as totally ordinary as a quiet night drive and transformed it into this cinematic experience for millions of us. He introduced the world to a sound that just will not fade.
So, I want to leave you with this final thought to consider as we wrap up this explainer. While the artist's voice is now silent, will the legend of Kavinsky continue to echo on every quiet night drive? Think about the lasting weight of his art. Think about how it's going to remain in our headphones, our cinemas, and our playlists forever, because every single time Nightcall begins to play, that legend lives on. Thanks for joining me.